Good evening. Welcome to a very special program. I'm Vishnu Shom. As India heads into crucial assembly elections, we thought that it's important to get a sense of the mood of voters in the states going to polls. So, as we often do, we reached out to CSDS Lokniti to share with us the findings of a detailed opinion poll in Rajasthan, India's biggest state. Rajasthan goes to polls on the 25th of the month in a single phase of voting, the results for which will be declared on the 3rd of December. On the program tonight, we'll be looking at crucial data on Rajasthan in 4 key areas. Number 1, an assessment of government performance both at the state and at the centre. Number 2, demography, the caste factor, how women and men are choosing, and the urban and rural divide. The key faces in the election, that's number 3. What do voters believe, or who do voters believe should be the chief minister? This is complicated because people can want a certain chief minister but prefer another party. And finally, issues. What matters most? What are the big issues? Is unemployment an issue? Development, safety, all of that. It's a fairly comprehensive poll, and we're going to try and get through all of that. I'd like to introduce my panelist, Sanjay Kumar, the psephologist and professor at CSDS. He is the man behind this poll. Thanks very much, Sanjay, for being with us. We'll talk about the poll in a moment. Avinash Kala, senior journalist, Shankar Iyer, my colleague Harsha Kumari Singh with us, Aarti Jairath with me in the studio, Rohan Gupta of the Congress Party, and Charu Pragya of the BJP. Thank you all very much for being with us. What I'd like to do first is just bring our viewers some basic statistics about the extent of this particular opinion poll. It is quite extensive. In terms of methodology, it took place between the 24th and 30th of October. It covered 30 constituencies and 3,032 is the sample size. Sanjay, as samples go, is this big? Is it small? And what was your spread as, a lot of people reached out across the state to get answers?
No, Vishnu, you used a word comprehensive. Yes, it is comprehensive, not in terms of number of people whom we interviewed. People might think that, you have interviewed only 3,000 people. But it is comprehensive in few respects. One, it is a purely randomized sample. And if you look at the profile of voters whom we have interviewed in the survey, it actually reflects the image of the voters of Rajasthan, which is to say, if you look at the rural-urban divide, men, women, SC, ST, Muslims, and various other variables. So it is a very comprehensive survey in that respect, and the sample is quite representative. And also, remember, these are face-to-face interviews. Vishnu, the problem these days is that, you have a very large sample. You can claim to be having a sample of 50,000, maybe a lakh. But most of these surveys are unrepresentative. They don't let us know what is the representative, is this a representative sample or not. And most importantly, most of the surveys these days are done over telephone. These are all face-to-face interview. I think these are the 2 points which makes the survey very, very comprehensive.
And credible. All right, well, we're going to look into the points right away. And the first set of points in this opinion poll have to do with the performance of the Gehlot government. We'll also be looking at what people have to say about the centre. So how do you rate the Gehlot government's performance? 43% say that they are fully satisfied. 28% say they are somewhat satisfied. 10% say that they are somewhat dissatisfied. And 14% say that they are fully dissatisfied. So this is key. How do you rate the Gehlot government's performance? 43%, fairly high, say they're fully satisfied. Next up, how do you rate the centre's performance? Let's move to the next point. As far as the centre's performance is concerned, 55% say that they are fully satisfied with what the centre has done. Somewhat satisfied is at 24%, somewhat dissatisfied is at 8%, and fully dissatisfied is at 7%. Which government has worked more for women? And through this poll, we are going to see several references to the role of women. But in terms of this particular question, 24% say that the state government has worked more for women. 31% say the centre has done more for women. 26%, that's a significant number, say both. And neither is at 5%. The issue of corruption that keeps coming up, that's what the next question asked was on. The question is this: how do you rate the state government on tackling corruption? Now, 39% said very good, the state government has done very well. 39% said so. 35% said good. 15% said bad. And 5% said very bad. State government has done disastrously in the fight against corruption. What about the centre? That was the state. What do people have to say about the centre? Because that affects perception, the centre in the state as well. And 45% said very good. 45% felt that the centre had done very well in tackling corruption. 34% assessed the performance of the centre as being good. 9% said that the performance of the centre in the fight against corruption was bad. And 5% said that in fact it was very bad, not good at all. In the last 5 years, did corruption go up? 54% said yes, in fact it did. 14% of those who were asked these questions said it's the same. 21% said it has in fact decreased. The other issue, and it is perennial to any election, I suppose, in most parts of the world, but let's take a look at the issue of price rise. Price rise in the last 5 years. Did prices go up? 72% said yes, in fact, it increased. 13% said that it decreased. 8% said that it remained the same. Now, in the last 5 years, did unemployment go up? Now, Rajasthan does have concerns or issues on this particular issue. A lot of people vote given the significant numbers of unemployed people. 40% said that unemployment has gone up. 19% say that it's the same. 24%, that's the number in the middle, say that it has decreased. Now, in the last 5 years, did industry in Rajasthan improve? 30% say yes, in fact, industry has increased. I mean, the industrial development has increased. It has gone up. 30% say that. 31% say it's decreased. 19% say, nah, not really. It's all the same. How do you rate the Gehlot government on governance? So we've got a couple of graphics over here, and we'll try and put them together. So we've got government schools and government hospitals. 60% say that schools have improved. 58% say that hospitals have improved. These are important numbers which indicate that people say that in fact on important parameters, schools and hospitals, this government has done quite well. 21% say schools have worsened. 24% say hospitals have worsened. On to the next statistic. Let's take a look at electricity and drinking water. How do you rate the Gehlot government on governance is the question. On the issue of electricity, 55% say it's improved. On drinking water, 50% of those asked say that it's improved, and you can see the numbers who say that it's worsened in both cases. Women's safety and law and order, this is a very, very important issue. The BJP has been saying that there are huge issues with women's safety in Rajasthan. They pointed to statistics. But when we asked people how they rated the Gehlot government, 37% said that it's improved, 30% said that it has worsened. On the issue of law and order, it's by and large even Stevens. 34% say it's improved, 32% say that in fact it's worsened. As far as roads in the state, another important development parameter, 42% say that roads have gone up, 40% say deteriorated. Now, compared to other parts of the country, Rajasthan's roads are perhaps much better, but 40% say that in fact it has gone down. Let me go straight across, first of all, to Avinash Kala. Avinash, if you look at these numbers, and it is interesting, all of this seems to be quite favorable for the Gehlot government. There's nothing terribly negative. In certain cases, it's not necessarily where they would have wanted it to be. Would you believe, therefore, if you just look at the first set of graphics, that the BJP would be counting primarily on the incumbency factor, the fact that since 2013, 1993 onwards, the Congress and the BJP have always flipped. One has gone and one has come. These parameters seem okay. Anti-incumbency might be a factor.
Yes, Vishnu, you rightly pointed it out. Anti-incumbency is the only thing that the BJP has to take on Gehlot government. Mostly the perception of the chief minister himself is very good. Go across anywhere, people are satisfied with him. But the biggest problem of the Congress party at the moment is that the kind of 150 seats, 156 seats that they have given up, mostly the MLAs against whom there is anger at the local area, they have all been repeated. So that is where is the big problem for the Congress party. And even the chief minister has accepted it in interviews and in other conversations that we understand that there is an anti-incumbency against my MLAs, but because they supported us during the time of crisis for the government, we are sticking with them. But by and large, this is for the first time that we don't see an anger or a mood against the chief minister. Because if you look at the last election, it was very clear there was an anger against the chief minister, which costed close to 90 MLAs their seats. BJP was 163. When the results came out, they were down to 73. This time around, when you move across the state, there is an anger against the local MLAs and not particularly against the chief minister.
The chief minister or the state government? The state government or the chief minister? Because these are, this is a lot of work that the state government actually does. Aarti, how do you read, this first set in terms of performance? Have a sec, Avinash. Aarti, go ahead.
Yeah, Vishnu, it is quite surprising that after 5 years, and rebellion which threw his government into crisis because of the infighting in the Congress between Pilot and Gehlot. It's really surprising that despite that, his ratings are pretty high.
43% are fully satisfied.
Yes. Right. And 27 are reasonably
28
satisfied.
28 are somewhat satisfied.
Yeah. So,
somewhat
I mean, if you add that, it is very impressive that after 5 years in power, he's getting those kinds of numbers.
Right.
So, obviously he's done something good.
Yeah.
And I think that it's all these welfare schemes that he has announced over the last 2-3 years, which are getting him these numbers. I mean, there are a whole lot of them, whether it's, in the health sector or the education sector or, for farmers and so on. And I think that's really what's keeping him afloat.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, will this be enough to help him win the election?
And that's, I think, a lot of other parameters.
Yeah, I think that's really the question.
The opinion of
but
all
at
of you.
least Gehlot can,
over the next 30
if he
minutes
loses,
or so,
he can go out feeling quite satisfied that, he remains still a popular figure in Rajasthan.
Charu, Pragya, would you actually agree with the part of what Aarti is saying, that when it comes to winning these elections and the challenges that the BJP faces, it is less about what you can do to dent Ashok Gehlot personally and more about what you can do to dent the performance of the Congress and the government?
Good evening, Vishnu, and I've been hearing to everybody's observations. I'll tell you why I disagree with so much that has been said. When you look at a sample size of around 3,000 people in a state as big as Rajasthan, I don't think it is sufficiently large. And the plank of social security, especially security for women, is a very big one. We have seen the number of cases on an extreme rise. In fact, it ranks the highest when it comes to crime against women, rape cases in the entire country, and that's become a big problem. Also, the situation of farmers, land grabbing cases, which have been supported by the government. More than 1,000 rights have taken place in the state of Rajasthan in the last 1 year. And when it comes down to voting, these are the things that people will remember and vote about. Because, when we break down everything and we look at this one angle of women's safety and security, it overrides everything, in my opinion. And then taking that forward to the position of Dalits, the number of cases which have been filed against them. All in all, it has been not a very positive 5 years for Congress government. There have been statements made which have been very negative, very contrary to what good governance is by ministers of the Congress, and they have not been pulled up for it. Statements which go like, "Ye Purushon ka Pradesh hai, isliye rape mein number 1 hai," or people who are wanting to discuss the black book of corruption. It'll all come together. And
all right. So law and order, women's safety, 2 points that you talk about specifically. Rohan Gupta, the BJP has really been targeting the Congress as far as women's safety is concerned. In fact, if you look at the, if you look at NCRB data, Rajasthan has shot up in terms of crimes against women. It's shot up to second in the country after 2019. It is a matter of huge concern, but these numbers actually suggest 37% say it's actually improved. What do you believe that reflects?
See, Vishnu, when Prime Minister had to say that if our government comes, we will continue the schemes of Mr. Gehlot, I think it says it all. Because if the Prime Minister of the country, the biggest leader of the opposition, if he has to admit that the government schemes are good, I think I don't have to say more than that. And when you saw, you know the tradition of Rajasthan, that every 5 years they have tradition of changing government, there is always a huge anger. But the numbers, since we are discussing this survey, if we take this number on face value, as one of the panelists say, it doesn't seem bad, and that is what speaks about the government's performance. Vishnu, this is the only government which has delivered 90% of their promises in last 4.5 years, and the paper has been produced in terms of proper document. White paper is produced showing that these are the promises which we have made, and these are the promises what we have delivered. You tell me which governments in the country they can even dare to do that. And forget that, even in future, the kind of promises what we have made, whether delivering gas cylinder in 500 rupees, expanding the English medium schools. So people of the state, they love Mr. Gehlot because they know that this is the person, whatever he says, he delivers. And that is the track record of last 4.5 years. And again, Vishnu, you know politics well. Whenever the opposition parties start attacking you through the agencies and all, it clearly means they are sensing the ground that they are losing the election badly.
So Rohan, let's move on now to the next set of graphics. I know that Charu wanted to come in actually with a response, but I think we need to move on. I would suggest that this part of what we've seen so far indicates that the Gehlot government has done relatively well. Let's move on and actually see on key parameters. So if we move on to the next set of graphics, how do you actually rate the performance of the government? We looked at, let's take a look at some of the issues as far as democracy is concerned. So we're looking at caste factor in elections. Let's have those graphics on air. If you do look at the caste factor, in terms of the Rajput community, 55% vote in favor of the Rajput community in the BJP. 33% of people affiliated to the Congress or voting for the Congress will be voting for our Rajputs. In terms of Dalits, BJP at 46%, the Congress at 44%, right? In terms of people, supporters of the BJP or supporters of the Congress, and where they stand as far as Rajputs and Dalits are concerned. If you look at Jats next, the BJP at 34%, the Congress at 42%. If you look at other OBCs, the BJP at 45% and the Congress at 35%, 45 and 35. Let's take a look at important socio-economic demographics for the Adivasi community. The BJP at 48, the Congress at 36. Now, this is interesting because in the tribal community, quite clearly the BJP making significant inroads over there. As far as women are concerned, 45% women would vote for the BJP. 39% of whom we asked questions to say that they would favor the Congress. Among men, 43% are with the BJP. Among men, 41% are with the Congress. So it's fairly close over there, but the BJP with a considerable jump over the Congress as far as women are concerned. That's interesting considering what we were looking at with women's safety in the state. Youth, 45% are with the BJP, 35% are with the Congress. In terms of urban versus rural, let's focus on rural areas first. 44% of people questioned in rural areas are with the BJP, 38% of those polled are with the Congress. In urban areas, 43% of those polled are with the BJP and 45% are with the Congress. So let me just quickly come across to Shankar at this stage. We look at a couple of factors over here. Firstly, since we were talking about women, is it surprising for you, Shankar, that 45% of people backing the BJP or would actually, of women, would actually back the BJP, significantly higher than the 39% for the Congress?
But that's been a tradition, if you notice, for the last 5-7 years. You can peg this beginning of this to Swachh Bharat and then to Ujjwala and other schemes introduced by the central government, which is why the state governments have got into the act. the interesting thing here is that there is a kind of competition for the woman vote, because the woman vote is the X factor. I would even say that the women vote has been the game changer in many of the elections, particularly in Bihar, in Karnataka, and definitely in southern states like Tamil Nadu. So if you look at the contest between political parties, it is largely about schemes rather than the politics. And I think in this, if we go back to the slides that you did in the earlier segment about the performance of the Gehlot government, and it's at 45 and Mr. Modi's performance is at 55, it sort of neatly falls into place. I mean, Mr. Gehlot should be very happy with this survey, but there is a definite appreciation across the voting classes that a large number of these schemes have come through from the center. The cash benefit transfers, or rather the vote benefit transfers. I'm just
interrupting you, Shankar, because we look at those details and those graphics in the next segment. So I'll come to that. But let me just quickly go to Avinash. If you look at some of the other factors, Avinash, if you look at Dalits, 46% supporting the BJP, higher than the Congress party. If you look at Adivasis, massively higher in Rajasthan than the Congress. What does that indicate? Is that along expected lines, or does that mark a significant change in demographics?
It does mark a significant change also, because let's say if we are talking at Udaipur, the area where tribals are most, the BJP has in the last election a lead of just 3 seats over the Congress. But now, if you look at the work done by the party over the last 3.5 years, they've worked extensively. Their then state president traveled the tribal belts long and wide to make sure that the votes are garnered and supported. So the BJP on ground has consistently worked in tribal areas, backward areas, in areas where they did not score a single seat last time. So that all is coming together. They have all been able to put up that work together. Their people have reached out despite losing and focusing. And in the tribals, mostly people are happy with the Prime Minister, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. I still remember traveling to a distance where I met a tribal lady. She had no idea who was given the home, but she recalls the Prime Minister's faith that I've got a home because of this guy.
Right.
So it shows the amount of work BJP has put on the tribals and the Dalit areas. So that is showing clearly in these numbers, and these votes will matter.
All right, Sanjay. In terms of trends in the demography, or certainly the caste factor, do these numbers among Jats, Rajputs, Adivasis, women, etc., is there a change from last time?
Some change. Why I say some change? Because if you look at the last election, the size of others was very large. Others polled roughly about 20% vote. In the survey estimate, which is much before the election, the elections are taking place on 25th of November. So at the moment, it seems it is a direct contest between BJP and Congress. So the preference among all these communities is either to vote for the Congress or the BJP. And we see some change. We are talking about the Dalits and the Adivasis. I think this is going along with the national trend. If we look at how Dalit vote has shifted in favor of BJP and Adivasis vote have shifted in favor of BJP in a big way between 14 and 19. So I think Rajasthan's Dalit and Adivasi voters are also moving in the same direction as we see happening across the country. Jats and voters of other community, normally you would see shifting from one side to another. Jats generally have voted for the BJP in large numbers, much bigger numbers compared to Congress over the years. This time, I don't know, because of some local factors, we still have, the survey was conducted much in advance before the tickets were distributed. I think some local patterns suggest that maybe Jats are not as happy with BJP as they were in the previous election.
Sure. All right. Well, we're going to take a short break at this stage, and we're going to come back with a lot more. And the next part of it is really something which a lot of people would be watching out for: the faces, the leaders, the BJP, the Congress, and of course the Modi factor. What about Rahul Gandhi? How is that going to play out in these elections? That's coming up. Well, not too many days to go now for the Rajasthan elections. It's going to be absolutely fascinating. There's been so much to talk about in this opinion poll. What we're going to do in this segment, and we're going to get to these numbers really, really closely. This is something which interests a lot of people. The faces. Who are the big faces? And who do people want to see as the Chief Minister of Rajasthan? So let's come out with the graphics right away and then get our quick reaction. So the question is, who should be Rajasthan's Chief Minister? This is a biggie. 27% of people polled say Ashok Gehlot, 14% say Vasundhara Raje, 9% say Sachin Pilot, 6% say Gajendra Singh Shekhawat. Anyone from the Congress? If there's a name that's unclear, 8%. Anyone from the BJP? 15%. Others, 5%. Who should the BJP's chief ministerial face be? That's the next question. Vasundhara Raje, 27%. Baba Balaknath at 13%. Gajendra Singh Shekhawat at 6%. CP Joshi at about 3%. Who should be the Congress's chief ministerial face? That's the next question. 39% said Ashok Gehlot, Sachin Pilot at 20%. So the gap, 19% between them, clearly shows who is more popular. Govind Singh Dotsara at 3% and Dr. CP Joshi at 3%. The Modi versus Gehlot factor. Modi clearly the largest leader for the BJP across the country, every single state election. What matters more to the voter? So 32% say no. In fact, it's all very well as far as Modi is concerned, but as far as they are concerned in Rajasthan, 32% would pick Ashok Gehlot. 37% would say no, the Modi factor does matter more. 20% say both in fact matter equally. Party versus candidate. What matters more? What is absolutely key? 31% of those polled say the party matters most. Narrowly at number 2, candidates. Right? So 30% of people say that the candidate matters most. 13% say the chief ministerial candidate matters most. 13% say that it's Narendra Modi who matters most. And 3% say it's Rahul Gandhi. So if we are speaking briefly about Rahul Gandhi, has Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra benefited the Congress? 28% say yes, but significantly 36% say no. So has that run out of steam is the question. And let me put that straight across to the Congress party and Rohan Gupta. Rohan, 26%, I should say 28% say that Bharat Jodo has benefited the Congress, but a significant 36% say it hasn't. Rahul Gandhi, the dominant face of the Congress party in Rajasthan, is the RG factor not working for you?
So Vishnu, when the results will come for all these 5 states, we'll realize what is going
no,
to be
that is the generic statement of all political parties. Rohan, break it up for us. We've asked people, they say that Bharat Jodo has not really benefited you.
That's what I'm saying. When the results will come out, we will see whether it is Telangana, whether it is Rajasthan, whether it is Madhya Pradesh, everywhere Bharat Jodo has ensured that the cadre of Congress parties united and rejuvenated. And that is what the impact we are going to see in results. And apart from that, the kind of parameters what you have shown in numbers, I am 100% confident the way Gehlot government has performed and delivered. BJP doesn't have the face. The state leadership, when you talk about Vasundhara Raje, the way we see that the way the central leadership of BJP, they cut the wings of state leadership, and that has been the BJP philosophy for last 5 years.
Rohan, 37% would pick Narendra Modi and vote in his name ahead of Ashok Gehlot at 32%.
See, Narendra Modi is not CM candidate, right? That the same thing happened
They
in
would
Karnataka.
vote for the BJP in his name.
No. Vishnu, that's what I'm saying. If you see Karnataka, all the polls, when the poll results were there, it was showing, okay, Modi matters and all. What happened? Because at the end of the day, people realize that these are state elections.
Okay.
And they are voting for CM and not PM. Mr. Modi cannot be CM for 28 states.
Okay,
so
we'll see what factor he has. I want to quickly go across.
Give me 1 minute. Give me 30 seconds. I'll just complete this statement. Give me 30 seconds. See, the issue with BJP is the way they are weakening their state leadership. Whether you see Karnataka, whether you see Himachal, I think that is where Congress is gaining, because we are fighting elections in name of state leadership.
Okay, all right, okay. I've got more numbers also. Charu, quick reaction from you. And I also want to ask you about Vasundhara Raje. It seems she is very much the dominant leader in Rajasthan. There were problems with her within your party, all sorts of all sorts of battles, a great deal of indecision, some would say. But is that over now?
Can I just go back to your previous segment and make a statement? See, BJP has always been in governance with the motto of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, not dividing up people in the name of caste and religion. And that remains very important. Now, work which is done by the central government also impacts and gives us a lot of credibility in any state election. So simple things like providing food grain, getting water from a tap in your own house, the Jal Jeevan mission, the toilets that were made, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana homes, all of these continue to be policies of the government to help the poor people come up to a higher and a better level of living. And I think we are still reaping the benefits of a good vision that Modi ji set at the onset of his leadership for the country. And then moving on from there.
Vasundhara Raje, I think, but just half a second, Charu, because this is important. In as much as Vasundhara Raje is at 14% among those who've been asked who should be Rajasthan's chief minister, another 15% actually say it could be anyone from the BJP.
Yes, I was coming to that. Yes, and well said, Vishnu, because I was coming to that. So here what is important is that the people continue to get benefits of an attentive and a devoted government, which is a given in the case of Bharatiya Janata Party. Whoever is going to be the CM face, they know they will be working with the vision Modi ji has set forth for the state, whether it is expressways, highways, looking after the poor people. Railway budget has been increased by more than 400 times only for the state of Rajasthan. All these things come together and people recognize that, and they will support whoever.
They will support the party irrespective of the face, is what you're saying. Harsha Kumari Singh, come in over here. You've tracked Vasundhara Raje for a very long period of time. Is she on the rebound? Is she on the ascendancy as far as the race within the BJP is concerned?
Well, in fact, I'm here, Vishnu, in Jhalawar, and I'm just waiting to go in and meet Vasundhara. She's just finished her rounds, and I'm going to meet her today before she goes in for her nomination. So definitely, I think the BJP realized that. If you look at the experiments they did with the first list, and then they suddenly stepped back, and, you have these very bland second and third lists where a lot of Vasundhara's supporters have been accommodated. So I think somewhere they realized that, you can't fight this election without Vasundhara. And whenever you go into the field, you really do have people actually asking about her. So she's definitely a very visible face. She's someone, interestingly, her personal profile, I would say, because, Rajasthan is a state which looks a lot at caste arithmetic and caste permutations and combinations. Now, interestingly, Vasundhara, comes from Gwalior, married to a Jat family, related to the Gujars, so she kind of, and the Rajputs also identify with her. So she kind of cuts across various caste matrix and dominant caste matrix in Rajasthan. So I think somewhere that could also perhaps be a key to her popularity. Vishnu.
Aarti, who should be Rajasthan's chief minister? If you look at the Congress and Ashok Gehlot, it's 27%. That's not a whopping number. It's not as if it's a decisive number of people who necessarily want him back. They say he's done good work, but at 27%, it's not a staggeringly high number.
No, and I think, Vishnu, what is really apparent from the figures that you're putting up today, and what was really apparent even in the last elections, is that Modi has enduring popularity in Rajasthan. If you remember the slogan last time, when Vasundhara lost, I mean, basically people said that, look, we're angry with Vasundhara, but in the Lok Sabha election, we're going to vote for Modi. And they did. They voted with both hands and feet. The BJP swept 25 out of 25 seats in Rajasthan. And I think you're seeing a similar kind of thing today also, that Modi continues to enjoy that kind of overwhelming popularity in Rajasthan. And given the fact that I mean, yes, Vasundhara is important. They've had to step back. They've had to accommodate loyalists, give them tickets and so on, because they realized that there was no point. If they antagonized them, who knows? They could have done a lot of damage on the ground. They've done that. But I think still, it is the Modi factor that will matter in Rajasthan as far as the BJP is concerned.
Shankar, would you agree? If you look at the numbers, Modi versus Gehlot, what matters more to the voter? Modi is still ahead of Gehlot. It just goes to show how, state after state, the Modi factor is what the BJP is banking on. And over here, it's going to be a decisive factor potentially for them. Would you agree?
Well, if you look at the slide that you put up on who should be the chief minister,
yeah,
and you add up Vasundhara Raje and anybody from BJP and the others, it does seem to suggest that there is a massive pull towards the BJP, primarily because of Mr. Modi. If you look at Ashok Gehlot's performance slide, it was somewhere around 45%, but only 27% of the people want him as the chief minister. So that gap suggests that there is something missing in the picture there. So I think that the fact that Mr. Modi has a larger than life personality, that fact that he is more visible than all the state leaders has a bearing. And
sure.
If you remember that Rajasthan is the one state where the Bharatiya Janata Jansangh actually won a seat in the first election.
Right.
It won 3 seats, 2 from Bengal and one from Rajasthan. So
yeah,
it has a history of Jansangh support.
Absolutely.
And,
but I just wanted to quickly, before I go across to the next set, go back to Sanjay for a moment. So Sanjay, again, on the one hand, when we started this program, and all the questions which were asked, people seemed happy with the schemes of Ashok Gehlot. They seemed happy with him as chief minister. But then when they were asked who should be chief minister, he comes up against some fairly stiff competition. Is that strange, that dichotomy?
I won't use the word strange, but yes, if you look at the numbers for Gehlot, it is not very high. It's just a reasonable performance, reasonable endorsement, because we have seen from the surveys in different states, there are chief ministers who are very, very popular. So 27% rating is not very high. And the reason is very simple. 9% or 10% voters still believe or support Sachin Pilot as the chief ministerial candidate. There are almost 10-11% people who think that anyone from the Congress could be the chief minister. And this is because Congress officially has not declared Ashok Gehlot as the chief ministerial candidate. So the ratings are reasonable. I won't say he is not popular, but the data suggests, the figure suggests he is not extremely popular.
Right. All right. Well, not extremely popular, not necessarily all that bad either, considering the incumbency factor. But we're going to move on now, take a look at some of the other key factors, the most important issues for voters. So let's take a look at the entire question of issues. What is the most important issue for voters? And if you do take a look at that, then it is unemployment at 21%, price rise at 20%, poverty at 15%, a lack of development at 13%, corruption at 7%, other issues at 21%, and no response 3%. Who will get the development vote? 48% of those who be polled say the BJP will get the development vote. 34% say it's going to be the Congress who will get the development vote. Over there, it's going to be 48% in favor of the BJP, 34% in favor of the Congress party. Who will you vote for when it comes to the issue of price rise? 48% say the BJP, 42% say the Congress. 42 over there in favor of the BJP and the issue of controlling prices. Who will you vote for when it comes to unemployment? 44% say that the BJP has a better chance of dealing with that. 40% say that the Congress has a better chance of dealing with that. We then asked those going into these elections, how important are the following issues for you? It was just a standard question on various issues. So cow protection issues, 76% said it was important. Reservation, 59%. The Eastern Rajasthan Canal project, 33% said it was important. The Mangad Dham scheme, 23%. And the Lal Dairy, 20% said it was an important issue as far as they are concerned. As far as schemes are concerned, there are what we will now show you are several schemes. Some of them are state schemes, some of them are central schemes. How exactly have people benefited from them? Do they see themselves as being beneficiaries? For example, who will the beneficiary of the 500 rupee gas cylinder scheme vote for? That, of course, is an important scheme which the state government has announced. 39%, in fact, say the BJP, the Congress, predictably 44% will gain as a result of that. Who will the beneficiary of the 100 units of free electricity vote for? Another state scheme. Now, this is interesting. It might be a Congress scheme, but 43% of those polled say that it's the BJP that's going to end up benefiting, and the Congress narrowly second. So that is interesting. Could this be because people don't really know who started this scheme? Who will the beneficiary of the 25 lakh rupee health insurance scheme vote for? That's a state scheme. The BJP at 41, the Congress at 43%. Who will the beneficiary of the centre's Ujjwala Yojana vote for? 46% say that it has worked. They'd vote for the BJP. 40% say that they'll go with the Congress party. Who will the beneficiary of the Manrega scheme vote for? It's been associated with the Congress in the past, but really in terms of how it works, it's the centre and the state. 44% say the Congress, 40% say it's the BJP. Who will be the beneficiary of the PM Awas Yojana? That's something that came up for discussion in our program earlier. And as far as that is concerned, 44% say the BJP and 39% say the Congress. A couple of other schemes. Who will be the beneficiary of the centre's Ayushman Bharat Yojana vote for? 47% say the BJP, 35% say the Congress. Who will the beneficiary of the Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, again a huge central scheme, vote for? 39% say the BJP, 38% say the Congress. So very close over there. Shura caste census we conducted in Rajasthan, a whopping 43% say yes, 25% say no, 32% have no response. Let me just go across to Sanjay to understand the methodology of a couple of these questions which have been asked. So Sanjay, these were standalone questions as I understand that. Is that right?
Standalone question, I'm not sure which question you are referring to, Vishnu, but schemes. We kept asking one by one about the schemes, and first question was, have you or your family members benefited? And then based on those responses, we tried to do the analysis of all those who have benefited, which party they intend to vote for. And there is a clear message that the beneficiaries seems to be divided between Congress and BJP. For some of the scheme which is rolled out by the central government, BJP is a bigger beneficiaries compared to the Congress, and some state government scheme which has been rolled out by the Ashok Gehlot government. Ashok Gehlot government is the beneficiary. The bigger point is that I think Ashok, you look at the history of Rajasthan. Rajasthan, every 5 years the government changes. So if we go simply by that logic or by that electoral history, then we would assume, okay, the BJP may be coming in because that's the history of the state. But look at what is happening in Rajasthan is that Ashok Gehlot government is holding on very, very strongly because of the different scheme which has been rolled out. So it is a good fight in the state which is emerging.
Aarti, would you say that this is the trump card that Gehlot holds? The various schemes that he's gone overboard in announcing over the last few years, the fact that there is by and large acceptance of those schemes, it's fairly even Stevens, or it's in the favor gently of one or two of the parties. It's not gone against Gehlot in a massive way in terms of the overall trend.
No, and I think that is responsible for the fact that he is still, getting those numbers that we saw right at the beginning. In the first part of your program. It's his schemes which are, keeping him afloat. But, at the end of the day, Vishnu, I don't know, when people go out to vote, do they start doing calculations that this person gave me this scheme, this party gave me this benefit, this party gave me that, therefore I'll do a cost analysis benefit and vote for this party? I don't think so. I think when people go out to vote, they vote with their heart, they vote with their emotions. And a lot depends now, the campaign will begin. I think a lot depends on the kind of emotions and, the mood that is created over the next few weeks. And that is really going to determine which way the electorate will swing. And as we can see, it's going to be a tough fight. It's a close fight. And that's largely because Ashok Gehlot has rolled out all these schemes in the last 3 years. He's planned, well in advance. He didn't do them on the eve of elections. He's done them over the last 3 years.
Sure.
So, there's been time for the benefits to percolate down to people. And
Sure.
I think that is very key.
Avinash, unemployment, 21% have said that it is their most important issue. And it really is a huge concern, isn't it, for the Congress party? It's something that they need to be worried about. I did some digging up on this. According to statistics, which I think are about 4 months old, in Rajasthan, on the issue of unemployment, 18,40,000 are unemployed, of which 14 lakh are graduates. Those statistics are fairly dreadful in terms of employment. Do you believe that employment might end up being the major issue?
Vishnu, it's going to be certainly one of the biggest issues because unemployment is growing high. Rajasthan leads the chart when it comes to unemployment. Secondly, the paper leaks, all the government examinations for employment, most of them have gone down. The Congress party and the Chief Minister keep saying that it's the same scenario across.
The issue of cow protection at 76%, do you believe that strident Hindutva is Shankar an issue that really does need to be looked at in terms of a major factor in these elections? What the BJP has been pushing, the entire Hindutva on the ground, policies, the agenda, is that something which would be a determinant?
But they have not made any, they have not been shy or coy about promoting the cause of Hindutva. And there are other parties have also done. There is a history of, for instance, cow protection across the belt, across the Vinoba Bhave belt, I call it. There is a history of land and cow connections and with the votes. Mm-hmm. The point that you guys made earlier, about the schemes and the votes, the important thing here is that a large part of Mr. Gehlot's performance is linked to what I call the vote benefit transfer. But is the Congress, it is not enough to have schemes and deliver them. It is, what is more important is what kind of organizational strength do you have to harvest those votes or harvest the Labharthis, as the BJP likes to call them. So this requires certain amount of cooperation, collaboration across social groups. And the BJP has been able to do this consistently with the help of the RSS, primarily because of the Hindutva ideology, primarily because of the connect that they have been able to establish across communities through Hindutva. So Hindutva is an important factor, and I don't think they've been quiet about it.
Rohan, the Prime Minister had said, as far as the Lal Diary is concerned, he said it is the latest product of the Congress's Loot Ki Dukaan. How would you respond to that?
Vishnu, you tell me one thing. If BJP had any evidence which is against Congress, do you feel that BJP would have waited? They have now opened up ED section of their campaign where every day they are reading in Rajasthan, they are doing in Chhattisgarh. So, Lal Diary, if it is something is there, they should come out openly. Why they are keeping it suspense? Point number one. Point number two, questioning the methodology. I'm not questioning, how it is done, but, saying that the 500 rupees cylinder beneficiary will vote for BJP, it is not digestible. Number one, 25 lakh government scheme, health scheme, if he votes for BJP, the equal percentage, maybe I can understand there is anti-incumbency, but these are the schemes which are flagship schemes, and whatever...
There could be confusion, Rohan, about who's introduced that scheme. It may not necessarily be associated with the Congress, is what I'm saying. Some of these schemes were centre, some of them were state.
Given by Vishnu. 500 rupees scheme is given by Congress party, 25 lakh health insurance is given by Congress party. So when you say that beneficiary of this scheme is voting for other party, I don't know what is the
Okay, Rohan, half a second. I'm running out of time over here. Charu, quick comment from you before I end this program with a comment from Sanjay. Go ahead, Charu.
See, the numbers show us, Vishnu, that issues that we believe are important for the people. So there are lots of issues where BJP gains ground because we understand the pulse of the people. We understand what people on ground need. You're right, there could be some confusion about who is the person to thank for any benefits they get from a specific scheme. But I think we've reached a point now where generally people in India associate good governance with Modi ji and especially associate being beneficiaries of schemes to Modi ji that's been around for a long time now. A decade is long.
Okay, Charu, interrupting 30 seconds. Sanjay, net, at the end of all of these questions, how would you assess this poll in terms of where it's pointing? Does it necessarily point firmly in any one direction?
Very difficult to say, Vishnu, because we should not forget that the poll was conducted almost 25 days before the day of polling. The campaign is yet to pick up formally. Candidates are yet to be fully announced. Withdrawal will take place. What does this poll give? The poll indicates where does the party stand when the race begins for Rajasthan. I think at the beginning of the race, it is evenly poised. Parties have to work very hard to, to register a victory in this election. So I think it is just the beginning of the race. We should wait and watch to figure out what happens on the 3rd of December.
All right, Sanjay playing his cards close to his chest over there. I'm sure he knows exactly what the outcome is going to be, don't you, Sanjay? We're going to wait for some more time before we... Don't nod your head, of course you do know. But we'll get an answer from all of you later on. But I'd like to thank all our viewers very much for coming in. Tomorrow is going to be another day when we do another important poll. We'll be looking at Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh as well. Important questions which have been asked, some similar to this, some very different. Each state very different. Where is it going? Where is it headed? You'll have to wait and see it. For the moment, from all of us here, good night.